Welcome in, brand new Friday Scramble. It's May 27th, 2022. It's the Friday of the Charles Schwab Challenge. I'm Rick Gehman, that right there. Andy Lack. Andy, good to have you back, sir.
Yeah, thanks, man. I caught a little bit of UNC. You guys went live right during the time that the actual commencement was going on, and I found so it was supposed to be Fauci was the graduation speaker, and he like backed out at the last minute. So they had one of the students speak, and it overall, I was a little bummed. So in terms of the whole experience of the commencement, I got a little bored. So I was happy to be able to catch you and see it for a little bit of it.
You should have offered to hop up there, give your thoughts on, I don't know, what topic could you just speak with zero preparation on for like 30 minutes straight?
Well, I will say this, I was kind of a star at some of the cocktail parties because, breaking news, it turns out old rich dads do in fact love golf.
Oh, that's good. I've heard that. Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it was true or not.
So I met some fantastic new friends, secured a couple fun invites to some courses across the country, and overall had a great time. Obviously very proud of my brother, but I'm glad to be back, man. It's good to be back here with you, my friend.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a great trip, all things considered, everything in there. Well, we are indeed presented by PrizePicks, and Andy, you and I are going to switch it up a little bit for this week because normally we come on here, we drop the props, and I'll admit it, I haven't been good. And I thought it was an opportunity, and sometimes the odds change from the time we put them in the outline. I thought it was an opportunity for us to just live talk through the board. I've got the numbers. I've got all the options up. We're just going to talk through and see what happens. We're going to do that on the other side, but I'm excited to kind of just go through with you on like how we would attack the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The lines changing has obviously been a topic of discussion amongst us and amongst the listeners in the live chat for a couple of weeks now. So yeah, I've noticed they're always changing things up on us at the last minute too. Have you noticed like the birdies matchups that they're doing now?
Matchups are out there now. Yes, we'll talk through some of those. There's for the bigger events, they do the holes played, which is basically to make the cut. Yeah, there's always something new going on.
Yeah, which I enjoy, by the way, and I like the whole one still. I think there's always that edge that we can find there because, based on pin position and wind and the way it's playing from day to day, there's only so much that they can change on those ones. So I'm excited to get into it.
Well, let's talk about Charles Schwab Challenge real quick because there were like 14 or 15 guys, Andy, that were either tied for the lead after round one or within a shot. It was completely wide open, and we're still seeing everybody still lumped together. Scott Stallings, who qualified for the U.S. Open on Monday, has carried that momentum into this week. He's currently 5 under par. He's got a couple holes left to play in his round number 2. He's alone at the top. Chris Kirk, who I imagine will make a lot of people happy if he wins, is up near the top of the board as well with Davis Riley and Bo Hostler lurking. Jordan Spieth out there on the golf course right now. So there's just a log jam on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and I think the board will probably mature a little bit as the afternoon goes on because I do think that there's going to be low numbers continuing this afternoon. I mean, looking at the wind, this should be the easiest day for scoring conditions. So I do believe that there is probably a 64 or a 65 out there. And, I would say that probably someone this morning, we've already seen a bunch of guys make the turn in 3 or 4 under.
Have you seen a guy flip a switch like seemingly Davis Riley has? So his season started. So he gets his tour card. His season starts with a bunch of miscuts. He has a T7 at Bermuda, a T20 at the Sony. That's basically it. Then he has that runner-up finish at the Valspar where he lost in a playoff. And then his last 4 have been top 13 finishes. He's 2 off the lead right now. He has either found something or figured it out or took a magic potion. I don't know what it is, but Davis Riley is in it.
And what's encouraging about Riley as well is the way that he's getting it done. When he first kind of came on my radar, it was a lot of putting, right? And then I don't know if you saw the stats from the PGA, which he was incredibly impressive at as well. I think he finished 13th at the PGA, which was the main reason why he was firmly on my radar this week, and I ended up betting him this week. But he had an incredible ball striking performance at the PGA, so the best of his career. And looking at round one, it was really the irons that were carrying him as well. He actually didn't putt that well at all, and he's been hitting the ball great as well today, and hasn't really made a ton of putts yet. So I think you got to be incredibly, incredibly bullish on him, not just for the rest of this tournament. I think he's got a great chance to win. What is he into, like the 25-1 range right now?
Right now, Davis Riley is 50-1. No,
that's crazy. Did he make a bogey?
I did this last time. That was so every time I go to Caesars, they want to show me the second round leader first. So
yeah, we've made that mistake before.
I made that mistake. He's 18-1 to win the tournament.
Right. Okay. So you're losing a little. I bet him pre-tournament at 50. So he's fairly priced, I guess. You might want to wait and see what happens in the afternoon. But yeah, I think you got to be incredibly bullish going forward. This group of Cameron Young and Mito and Davis, I'm starting to realize that I think you need to evaluate their abilities a little bit differently. I just don't think the learning curve is what it used to be in terms of experience on tour.
Doesn't appear to be. Really doesn't appear to be. These guys from the Corn Ferry Tour are ready to rock and roll. 2 guys that are going out this afternoon who are both at 4 under. Webb Simpson, Scotty Scheffler. Let's start with the number 1 golfer in the world, Scotty Scheffler, who after what I called like the best miscut you could have had at the PGA Championship opened with a bogey-free 66. There was never any reason to be concerned about Scotty Scheffler.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he caught the wrong side of the wave. That whole group of Morikawa, Scheffler, Rahm, it didn't feel like they ever got going together. I mean, I think sometimes you get pairings and you're able to feed off of your partners. I think the opposite happened with this group. Morikawa was as frustrated as I've seen him on a golf. Rahm's obviously always Rahm, and Scheffler was, frustrated as well. So I'm absolutely willing to throw that one out. That was his first major as a Masters champion. He'd won like 4 times in his last 7 starts. So yeah, I think this was a clear, good rebounding week for Scheffler, and he will probably be relevant as the tournament continues.
Webb Simpson, also at 4 under par, gave us a taste of vintage Webb at the PGA Championship for the first time in a while. He gained across the board. He looked good. It looked like when Webb was healthy, and there was at least a little bit of me saying, okay, well, we can be early on Webb because if this is going to continue, Colonial should be a really good spot for him. Now, shoots a 66 in the opening round. We'll continue to see, we'll see if he continues it. He's also your one and done, Andy. So you are certainly, I'm sure, excited about the way the opening round got going.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you texted me on Monday night and asked me if I had a one and done pick. I think if we left it up to the live chat and the fans, they would have said that I was eliminated for my inability to attend.
Eliminated and also not allowed to participate in next year's one and done as a punishment. They're very, very, very harsh.
Right. So I'm glad to have been able to get out of there with Webb. Who'd you go with, by the way?
Jordan Spieth.
Okay. Safe, right? I mean, and you have to imagine like this is the place that Spieth finishes top 10 without any form. So, and he's playing well today. So you have to imagine you're eating into me a little bit with these options, right? Like this is probably a good week to deploy Spieth if you're a little bit down, because you have to be saying to yourself, okay, I'm probably going to get a top 15 out of him at worst, right? Like, go out and beat me.
He is working very hard. Every time I looked, I've seen him in the trees, and he's been arguing with Greller about whether a shot is even possible. And they seem to be on different pages, but he's pulling it off. He's playing well, but it's not pretty.
It's typical Spieth. And right. And I always try and do my best to throw my eye test out the window with him. I've kind of gotten used to the pre-shot routine at this point. Like I'm kind of numb to it. I get it at this point. I understand that it's not going to look pretty, but it appears that he's pretty comfortable with it. And now we've had a couple weeks in a row where the ball striking has been solid, right? It's really been more of the putter. So yeah, I have to imagine that Spieth will be relevant as this tournament goes on. And I'm sure we'll start talking about this a lot more in the upcoming weeks, but I think he's pretty dangerous at Brookline.
Ooh, okay. Well, we will talk. I'll be at Brookline. Have we talked about that?
No. So I'll be on the East Coast too. I haven't made moves to get there yet. I did not know you were making the trip. So you're coming out east.
I'm coming out east. Yes, I'll be at Brookline for the U.S. Open, and I will definitely be at in Wilmington for the BMW Championship. I don't know what else yet, but yeah, I'm gonna be at Brookline. It's gonna be great.
So those are two separate trips, right? You're not staying out.
No, okay. They're like 2 months apart. Those are two separate trips.
Right. Okay. And so is the US Open more of a fan experience or a work endeavor? Like, how's it work? Are you working the credential angle?
Yeah, it'll likely be more of a work endeavor. The hope and goal is to do my HQ hits from the course and figure out a way to record, first cut after that. But that'll likely be a work trip. And then BMW Championship will be more of a fan/vacation trip.
Okay, got it. And so are you staying in Boston for the week?
Yeah, we'll be there I think it's Wednesday through Sunday or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Have you ever been in Boston?
Yes, and also my wife went.
You're from Philadelphia. What am I saying?
Yeah, so Eli in the chat says, "Ever been to the East Coast?" Yeah, just like the first 26 years of my life. Which is where so Armina went to optometry school in Boston, so she is very excited about this. She has friends there, so she'll definitely be vacation mode while I'm at the golf course. But yeah, we're excited. It's been a while since I've been there. It's been a while since she's been there.
Okay, I'm going to start looking at some stuff when we get off air because now I'm a little more inspired to make it happen. It's just, I'm sure you've experienced this. It's like the summer of weddings for me. It's just like landmines left and right.
2020 weddings and stuff.
Right. So if I can make it work and I don't have any potential landmines, hopefully I'll see you there, my friend.
I love it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. On the other side, we are going to go into a live props discussion. I'm going to pull up the stats. I'm going to pull up the board. We're going to talk through it in real time together. We are talking about PrizePicks. The code you're looking for to get a deposit match is Rick. There's a link in the description. Hopefully, we can break down this board in a way that is favorable for you, but we'll hit that on the other side.
Andy Lack is not only the co-host of The Scramble, but also produces his own show, the Inside Golf Podcast. It's available twice a week, focusing on course breakdowns, DFS, and betting strategies for every PGA Tour event. Admittedly, I was drawn to Andy for his data-driven approach, which you'll find on his Sunday shows as he breaks down the field. But I'm even more impressed by his passion for course architecture, which offers a different perspective of our great game. Mix those together with insightful and humorous guests who don't take themselves too seriously, and you've got a recipe for a great podcast. Follow Inside Golf Pod on Twitter and download Inside Golf wherever you download podcasts.
All right, Andy, let's prop it like it's hot. We are going to just break down this board together. So I asked Armina to put all the stats on a sheet, which she is going to share right now, hopefully. There we go. Okay, so let's talk through how we would do this. So round one scoring, the course played 3/4 of a shot or a shot over par in the AM or the PM. So it was playing over par. Right now, the course is playing significantly easier, nearly a stroke under par. So we're talking about a shot and a half or 2 shots easier today in round 2. The average fairways hit from yesterday was 7.7. The average greens in regulation from yesterday was 10.44. So knowing this, where should we start? Should we start with the strokes and see if there's any advantageous stuff there?
Yeah, let's start with the strokes. So looking at it now, I mean, they have accounted for the fact that the course is playing easier. I mean, they may have actually even over accounted for it. Like you're looking at the over unders here with Scheffler's at 67, Morikawa 67.5. The highest over under is 68.5. So they're basically telling you that they think that all the players that they have selected are going to be better than field average today, right?
Right, because field average would be basically like 69. So when the highest is Ricky Fowler and Patrick Reed and Tommy Fleetwood and Taylor Gooch at 68.5, they're saying all 10 of these golfers are going to beat the field average, which would be fairly unlikely for that to happen.
Right. So I think you probably want to lean towards the overs here. So
what would your process be? Would you look at what you saw yesterday and see guys that maybe putted out of their mind? Like how do we find the guys that are more likely to shoot worse than the field average today?
Yeah, probably. I mean, JT would probably be the guy that stood out to me the most. I know he had a terrible iron round yesterday. I don't think that he's going to repeat that, but I mean, he's hanging around the cut line right now already. He's going to have to shoot, a good round. I mean, he'll make the cut, I'm sure, with a 68. It's probably going to be like an even cut, I would assume, as we stand now. I don't think it's going to get that much crazy easier in the afternoon, but JT is a guy that did not hit the ball very well last week. He has been putting really, really great. He's game strokes putting in like 6, 7, 8 rounds in a row. But in terms of, the iron play, the understandable maybe lack of fire in his belly coming off of such a huge win, JT would probably be my favorite one of those.
And that would be to go over 67 and a half. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just plugging in as we're chatting here, and I'm almost done. I'm just plugging in just the guys that are available into the live leaderboard so that we can kind of see what they did yesterday. So let me share that screen with you. Share. How do I do this? Oh, okay. Stand by. I know how to figure this out. Share this, then say share my screen. Here we go. I've got it. So here are the guys, Andy, which hopefully you can see this. Yeah, okay. So I have this sorted by round 1 putting. So I'm kind of looking, okay, for Ricky Fowler gain 1.9 putting, that was basically how he gained all of his strokes. In fact, he lost from tee to green. That to me is kind of a red flag because even though Ricky's been historically a very good putter, he hasn't been as of late. So asking him to beat the field average at 68.5, like that has me a little bit worried.
Right. And I didn't, this doesn't make me feel as good about I didn't realize how dependent Webb was on the putter yesterday as well.
But he gained 2 strokes on approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's horrible.
No. Yeah. And he gained, what was he? 2.68 putting. Yeah. So I guess Webb's fine there too. I probably say JT. I'm with you on Ricky. I'm probably a little more bullish on Ricky than most. I actually played him this week. I've started to see some stuff that I'm liking out of him recently. So hopefully he's able to get things turned around.
Are you at all worried that Morikawa is like very much struggling with his putter right now? Like not even or anything, just like in general?
No, I'm not. I've heard it's so quick the way people turn on have you already started to hear like the Morikawa is not a wind player. He's it's like, guys, he's 24 and he's won 20% of the majors that he's played in. He's on like the he's on a pace right now to be one of the 15 greatest golfers of all time in possibly the hardest era of golf that we've ever seen. Morikawa's fine. The difference between Morikawa and a player like, we'll say, Jon Rahm is that the strokes gain with Morikawa in terms of overall consistency is never going to be there because he's not a great putter. And when I say he's not a great putter, it's not that he isn't capable of being a great putter. It's that there's a lot of volatility involved with his putting. So there's going to be weeks where he's going to gain 4, 5, 6 strokes putting, and those are going to be the weeks that he wins. There's also going to be weeks where he misses cuts because he loses 6 strokes putting, right? Or he finishes T45 because he loses 4 or 5 strokes putting. So no, I would need like a year of Morikawa not showing us that he has spike putting potential for me to actually sound any alarm balls.
All right, fair enough. As I'm kind of looking through some of the other props here, so average greens in regulation from yesterday, 10.44. Again, the PrizePicks guys have said all the options are going to be better than field average. The lowest available prop for greens in regulation is 11.5. Ricky and Reed and Taylor Gooch. Then you get all the way up to 13 greens in regulation for Scotty Scheffler. So I think these are skewing a bit high as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, again, this is probably the one that you want to look at iron play the most, right? Like not necessarily just what they did yesterday, but like long-term iron play would probably be the way that I would attack this prop the most. No?
Yeah, that's right. So someone like like Patrick Reed, who was great yesterday, but hasn't necessarily been great with his irons longer term. He's got one of the lowest props. Is that something that interests you, or would you prefer to just find somebody who is historically good, expect them to continue to be good, or what are you looking for?
Well, probably not with Reed, because I think Reed is actually, I think we're starting to see some signs of life from Reed. I think he's going to have I actually bet him to win the US Open the other day at like 120-1.
Oh, mama.
I think we're starting to see some stuff with Reed. He gained like 5 strokes on approach at the PGA, right? Something like that. So yeah. So I probably not Reed, but yeah, I think Reed would be the template if he wasn't heating up so quickly with, that aspect of his bag. Is I would probably look, Rick, at like long-term greens and regulation percentage, how they played in round 1, how they're trending, and probably try and attack the players that have the mix of long-term form isn't great, but unlike Reed, they aren't suddenly starting to catch fire.
Yeah, like Webb at 12 has my attention. It's the second lowest one. I think that it's weird, right? Like if you believe what you saw from Webb yesterday was the real Webb, and a lot of what he's been going through for the last couple months is injury and rust or whatever. Like he is, and he gained 2 strokes on approach yesterday, and he never gets himself into trouble off the tee. He gained a half a stroke off the tee. Like I think that's too low, 12.
Right. Yeah, I would probably agree with that. The thing about Colonial too is like generally, even if we think it's going to play a little bit easier this afternoon, it's still a course with small greens where the greens in regulation percentage has historically been low. So even in easy conditions, this isn't really typically a course where you're going to get guys hitting like 16 of 18 greens if they're on, right? Like these are still pretty small putting surfaces. So I think the ceiling with some of these guys isn't as high as other golf courses.
Right. Okay. Then finally, so this is what you were talking about. They have this is just a couple of weeks old, I believe. Birdies or better matchup. So these are essentially round matchups between 2 golfers, but it's not strokes that matter. It's birdies or better. So right now, all the lines are set at 0. So, for example, Justin Thomas versus Sam Burns. If you think JT is going to make more birdies or better than Sam Burns, you take the over. If you believe Burns will make more than Thomas, you take Thomas's under. When you get something new like this, Andy, like let's think through this together because these are not matchups. These are not stroke matchups. What would we be looking for to determine what side is the better side?
Probably volatility, right? Like you probably want someone with a high birdie or better percentage. You probably want somebody that has shown that he's very capable of going low because typically it's almost like looking at DraftKings scoring, right, Rick? Is I think the mistake that people look at is they don't factor in the account that there are a lot of guys that sometimes consistently outscore their DraftKings finishing position. And I think you probably want to approach this in the same vein, right? You probably want to be looking for guys that tend to maybe, hey, they give it, for example, a guy like Scotty Scheffler could make 6 birdies and 6 bogeys today and shoot even par. And Morikawa could make 3 birdies and no bogeys and shoot 3 under par. And Scheffler's the winner of that matchup, right? So you're probably looking at volatility and birdies or better percentage would be the way I would attack it.
Okay. So I like that. So if we go that route, there's a couple of ways we can do this. So I have on RickRunGood.com in the Holy Grail under fantasy data, I have like DraftKings points gained. I've got like the birdie streak numbers, which could kind of show you who might be volatile in a good way. Because for example, like Justin Thomas makes nearly twice as many birdie streaks as Colin Morikawa, and Colin Morikawa has more bogey-free rounds. Like that makes sense, right? Like they're different golfers.
Right.
For example, JT's the number 1 golfer in this field in terms of DraftKings points gained. You can gain those a lot of different ways. So let me actually do this by he's also number 1 in birdie streaks too, which is exciting. And then Sam Burns is like 20th in this field. So JT over Burns might be interesting just to kind of like Scotty Scheffler is number 2 of the guys that are available here. HV3, I'm still scrolling much further down the board. He's like 40th. So I think that's kind of a good way to look at it is volatility, birdie rate, even DraftKings scoring, because that might be more attainable as well.
Right. I agree with that. I think that's completely the way that I would attack it because there's just some certain guys. I mean, like just anecdotally off the top of my head, like Fitzpatrick is a guy that he just makes a lot of pars. And that he does, there are a lot of times often, I know this because I play him a lot. He doesn't always outscore his DraftKings position, but then there's certain other players, you mentioned JT, where when he gets going, he really gets going, right? Like his wedges are so strong that if he gets one of those days where the putter is cooperating, there's going to be a lot of times where he's going to make 6, 7 birdies in a round. Now, JT is also not always the most accurate driver of the ball either. So he's going to give some back too. But I would agree. I think that's probably the way that you want to attack these. I think the matchups are kind of a fun little thing because you're getting both sides of it now. So not only are you getting to identify the players that are good at this specific skill set, but you're also getting to pick on guys that aren't as good at it.
That's true. I'm trying to figure out the rhyme and reason for these matchups. It's not tee times. They're not playing in the same group. Like, for example, Varner is going off the 10th tee at 118, while Scotty Scheffler is going off the first tee at 1256. Like, they're not. What you think these are just more or less random or names they picked out that they thought would be good against one another? Like, I don't know what the criteria is for making these.
More or less random would be my guess. There's no rhyme or reason to some of the things that the wonderful people at PrizePicks do in terms of how they make some of these lines. Like I remember at the PGA Championship, there was like 2 guys that had a hole scoring prop up, and it was like John Daly and Tiger Woods. I do not have the answers for how they choose them, but hopefully, as we've said many times in the past, it turns into an opportunity for us.
Somehow Vincent Whaley has found his way into one of these with Ricky Fowler. So that's always
right. There's always that one guy that it's like one of these is not like the other. It was Kuchar for a while in big events. Maybe Whaley's their new guy now.
it's like Whaley's brother sets the lines for these or something like that. And he's like, oh, I'll throw Vince in there for you or something like that. Okay, cool. That was fun. It's always good to get into strategy and kind of figure this out because it's always changing so quickly. And you can see the way that those lines are being favored by the boys over at PrizePicks. So you can use the code Rick. You can get yourself an instant deposit match. There's a link in the description. Let us know what you settle on in the chat. But we've got more to do. I want to look at the live odds board, and I want to talk a little bit of some storylines and whatnot around the world of golf. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll do it on the other side.
If you're not playing daily fantasy on PrizePicks, then you're not really playing daily fantasy. They offer nothing but props, and they do it better than anyone else. You pick 2 to 5 players on an over-under and can win up to 10 times on any entry. They allow mixed sport entries, meaning you can take the over on LeBron James and the under on Jon Rahm. The golf-specific props are amazing. Birdies or better, fairways hit, greens in regulation, round score, and now, yes, single hole props. That's right. What score will a golfer make on a specific hole? I have PrizePicks specific tools on my website to help you build the best entries, and now PrizePicks is offering a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Just use the code RICK at sign up or click the link in the description. That's code RICK. Good luck.
Okay, Andy, here's the live odds for the Charles Schwab Challenge. And as you can see at the top, it is for tournament winner. I will not spend 12 minutes talking about round 2 leader like we did a couple weeks ago. This is tournament winner. Scotty Scheffler, the favorite. He has not teed off yet. 5-1. Chris Kirk, 8-1. He's playing right now. He might be done here. He's got 2 holes to play. Jordan Spieth, 10-1. Webb Simpson, 12-1. So this is that kind of crazy time on a Friday morning where some guys have played basically 2 full rounds. Others haven't teed off yet. And Caesars is trying to figure out what to do with that information.
Yeah. I think that just at a bird's eye view, I feel pretty comfortable about this afternoon scoring, right? Like I feel pretty comfortable that there are going to be numbers out there today. So I think that probably you would want to look at guys that haven't played yet, right? A lot of the times we do this and it's like, okay, I want to choose guys that are in the clubhouse. And I do feel good enough about the way that the win looks that I would probably want to attack some players that have yet to play.
So just anecdotally over the last hour and a half, so Armina and I were updating that, what the live scoring is right now, just so we had it for that prop segment. It is still getting easier, right? An hour and a half ago, it was like a half a stroke under par. Then it was like 0.6 of a stroke under. Then it was 8. Right now, it is nearly a full shot, 0.95 under par. So it is still getting easier, which a lot of times you'd start to see that trending, especially on the afternoon wave with foot traffic and usually wind freshening in the afternoon. You would normally see it starting to chip away at how easy it is, but that's not happening right now.
Right. Yeah. So, for example, Patrick Reed is probably the first name that has my attention. He's at, Reed 18. I was hoping for a little bit higher. It's just hard for me to stomach these. When the guys, I always want to, it's tough because Patrick Reed absolutely has a higher probability to win this tournament than we would probably agree that he did before Thursday morning, right? But I always have such a difficult time when, he was available as high as 100-1 this week. So with still the amount of volatility that we see in golf and 54 holes to play, it's kind of hard to stomach. Even a guy that wins like Reed pretty often, it's hard to stomach, I guess, at 1/5 of the odds. But he's probably the guy at 4 that I like the most. I probably like him a little bit more than Varner even and Webb.
I got to tell you, I don't think I love any of these odds. Varner, who I bet before the tournament, which I'd be super thrilled if he won this, but 16-1 now. Scotty Scheffler, you're getting no deal on at 5-1. Webb at 12. Reed at 18.
Well, probably my favorite, Rick, is Hovland, right? Because we both bet Hovland before the tournament started.
Yeah.
I bet him at 20-1. He's 20-1 now. Do you feel better about your Hovland bet now or before the tournament started? Because I actually probably feel a little bit better about it now.
I would agree with that. And he's also, he's got one hole left in the horrible horseshoe. So 5's a difficult hole. But once he gets through that, if he could get to 5 under, if he could get in at 5 under with, what's the lead going to be? Probably no more than 8 or 9. And it's not like it's going to be Jordan Spieth holding that lead at the top. Okay. Yeah. Hovland, who is 4 under now and has all the firepower in the world and could get deeper than that, is longer than Reed, who I guess just hasn't teed off yet. That's his biggest incentive, is that he's got holes in hand on a course that's playing. But even if he plays it to the field average and both of these guys end up at 5-1, like, you'd rather have Vic than Patrick.
Yeah.
They're both the weekend.
Right. This is shaping up to be a very Rick friendly leaderboard. We've got Hovland up there. Bo Hostler's your guy. Who else are we missing? Homa's kind of your guy too, right?
Homo would like to, I'd like Homa in the mix. So he's at 3 under right now. But yes, this is shaping up to be a very Rick leaderboard. I'm loving it.
Yeah. No, I think there was one more that I'm forgetting. Who else have you had on? You've had Hostler and Hovland. Well, you've talked to a bunch of guys in the first cut too, right?
Yeah.
Ricky, right?
Ricky. Yeah. Ricky was there. I'm trying to look through the leaderboard, see if there's anybody else that we've talked to.
We're missing both of our boy Aaron Wise, but be on the lookout for him at Memorial next week. Impressive at the PGA, by the way.
Yes, he was. Where is Doc? Doc's got some work to do. Doc's even par at T49. He has not teed off yet. So Colin Morikawa came on the first cut when, I think I told you this, we introduced him as Barracuda Championship winner. Think about how far we've come since that moment where he was introduced as Barracuda Championship winner.
Yeah, I'd say he's done just a bit to raise his stock. We got Sam Burns there too. Yeah. I would say probably, Rick, if you're telling me you have one bet to make now and it was just regardless of anything that I've done pre-tournament, I think in terms of like the pre-tournament value versus where people are at now, I'd probably say Hovland, even though he's not playing in the afternoon. But I think the 20 on Hovland is better than, the 16s and 18s on Webb, Reed, and Varner, in my opinion, personally.
I like that. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we've circled it. I think we figured it out. One thing, and I will crowdsource this for anybody listening. I've been looking for the to win the money list odds, not necessarily to bet them. I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and Scotty Scheffler was a massive favorite. I just kind of wanted to see what they are now that JT got the 2 whatever million for the PGA Championship. I just kind of wanted to see what they were, and I can't find them anywhere. So I don't know if you, Andy, have seen them, or if anybody out there has seen them. Just like send them to me.
I haven't, but that's an interesting market because if Cam Smith is kind of the other guy where if Cam Smith wins again, he's could be right there because of how gargantuan the players purse is, right?
Correct. And then if they take it through the BMW Championship, there's like 5 really massive purses left.
Right.
Even before we get to the Tour Championship, which wouldn't be included. But I just want to see how much of a favorite Scotty is right now.
Right. Like Player of the Year is another interesting one too, right? Because conventional wisdom would suggest that Scotty has it locked up. But what happens if Cam wins the U.S. Open? Who's the Player of the Year?
Now he's won the Players and the U.S. Open.
And the Century, which was 35 players, but 35 of the best players. So is if Cam does that and then he finishes. So like all of this, so the Player of the Year is also so dependent on the FedEx Cup. So like if Cam is then 2 spots out or 2 shots out of the at the Tour Championship and wins that, like it's not a lot. I don't think it's like that big of a lock that Scotty wins everything. So let me ask you this then. What's a more impressive resume to you? If Cam wins the Century, the Players, the FedEx Cup, and is relevant in all the majors. Like, let's not forget that he finished runner-up at the Masters and 13th at the PGA, where he led the field in ball striking. Or what Scotty has now, which is a Masters, a WGC, and 2 big non-major events, right? Like the API and Scottsdale, those are both really good fields on good golf courses.
That is still more impressive. But if Cam Smith wins a major, then just basically like the FedEx Cup will decide who the player of the year is.
Agreed.
It would just be like a 2-horse race, and whoever is higher in the FedEx Cup would win.
I'm with you. I think if Cam Smith wins a major, he overpasses Scheffler. But if Cam Smith wins the FedEx Cup, I'd still think Scheffler has a better season.
So there's also a situation where, so like Scotty has already locked up, basically based on points from last year, starting 5th or better at the Tour Championship. He's like basically already locked that up if he doesn't earn another point. There's going to be a situation where, we might be a couple weeks out, and it's shaping up where whether it's Cam or JT or whatever is basically going to be in the top 5 within 4 or 5 shots of whoever is leading the Tour Championship, which is probably going to be Scotty Scheffler. And I think you're going to be able to get longer odds that golfer is either the player of the year or wins the money list or wins the FedEx Cup, as opposed to just saying this guy wins the Tour Championship the week of. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they're not necessarily independent events.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think because we didn't get rid of it. We just changed the St. Jude's from a WGC to a playoff event and took out the one that's generally in New York. So there's still 2 playoff events, but this time it's first one's Memphis and the second one is the Wilmington one that you're heading out to.
Correct. Yes. The Northern Trust is no longer a thing.
Which is a shame, because how do we have a PGA Tour schedule of 40 events without one in New York or Chicago? Like, explain that to me.
And there's not a regular stop in Boston either. Well,
right.
Northern Trust would kind of go back and forth, right? Boston and Liberty National. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. It's kind of surprising.
Chicago and the New York area, if you're being generous and including Long Island into that, might be, along with Monterey, the 2 best golf areas in the country.
It's got to be infrastructure, right? Just like, where are we? Is there not a place to put up all the stands and parking and traffic? It's like, is it just infrastructure stuff?
I don't know. It can't be that with Chicago, because Chicago has had, tons of tournaments hosted at Cog Hill. They've had tons of tournaments hosted at Medina, which is actually undergoing. Medina wouldn't make sense because they're undergoing a big renovation right now ahead of the 2026 President's Cup. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot. Like, I'll give you an example. So I'm headed out to Chicago in a couple of weeks for one day to play a course called Butler National. And Butler National used to host the Western Open for many years, but Butler National is one of the only remaining men's only clubs in the United States. Yeah.
I did not.
So it got to a point in the late 70s where the PGA Tour was like, yeah, probably not the best look to have a men's only club as one of our host sites. So they said to Butler, hey, you guys either need to change your policy or we're out. And Butler said, see you guys. We're not changing it.
Oh my God. Oh man. At least they gave him the opportunity. Like, hey, here's your options. Wow. That's wild. I did not know that. They're still men's only? Like, as of like today? Oh my God.
As of today. Yeah. As of today. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. 2 more things we got to talk about. We'll do it quick and we'll get everybody out of here. But watch this ad for JuiceReel.
I've recently started using JuiceReel as a way to track all my bets in real time. Since I can sync the app to all my sports books, I don't miss any wager, and I've learned a ton more about my betting habits. There are built-in line shopping features, so I know that I'm always getting the best lines available, and once the game starts, I can see the value of my bets fluctuate in real time with the scoring so that I always have an understanding of my expected value. The performance analytics have made me much more knowledgeable about the bets that I have the most success at, hint, top 10s, and there's no going back for me. Download the JuiceReel app with the link in the description.
I like that JuiceReel app. You use that app, Andy, don't you?
Yeah, JuiceReel is phenomenal. I mean, they just started doing golf too, so I kind of learned about them through line shopping with football. But now that they do golf, you can do the outright. You can look at all these different books to see what has the best outright numbers, and in golf, it varies a lot. So I would highly recommend shopping around and utilizing that.
Yeah, spoiler alert, there's a ton of discrepancy in outright odds for golf right now, especially with everybody trying to be competitive. Two things real quick. There is a rumor, Andy, that we are getting potentially the field for the London event of the LIV Golf International today.
Yeah, I think more than a rumor, right? We've got some pretty strong sources confirming that it's going to happen. We haven't seen it yet, though, have we? Did anything happen while we were on air?
I have not seen it, so I don't believe so. But I'm hoping it's soon.
Okay. So, question for you: are we going to cover this?
I don't know.
Are you going to watch this? Is maybe the better question to start with.
I don't know. I've really just kind of kicked the can down the road on all of this and been like, I'll face that when we get there. But
cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah.
I mean, where if I wanted to watch it, where can I watch it?
I believe that they're going to stream it free on YouTube because I don't think that they were able to get a deal done with a network in time. So I believe, if I had to take a guess, there's probably going to be a LIV golf YouTube channel that is live streaming the event, would be my guess. And keep in mind, the first one's in London, not Boston, right? The one that's coming up is the London one.
Yeah.
So it might not, it's going to be on in super early in the morning for us, more towards the middle of the night. But
I would probably be lying to you if I said I wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, me too.
Like I am curious.
I'm curious.
I love golf. Like I can like hate watch it. Like I don't support what's happening, but I feel like I'd have to tune in and see what's going on. I also need to see if it's gonna be. Although here's the other thing: if Lee Westwood is the headliner, I will not watch it. I don't care. Like if it's that and 49 guys from various tours around the world, I will not watch.
Okay, question for you. Who do you think is the featured group? Like who is the featured group? Who's the headlining group? Who is the Rory Spieth Tiger of the PGA Championship? So like Phil, Adam Scott, Justin Rose, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. Phil and two old Euro guys.
Yeah. Are you what I'm not gonna like handicap the course. Like I just don't have enough hours in the day, especially with the PGA Tour going right next to it and the US Open right around the corner too. I'm not going to spend time digging into what is the best skill set required for Centurion Golf Club, probably. Very curious to see if they put out betting odds, however. Very, very curious to see. Very curious to see if they put out DraftKings contests. Very curious to see if they put out betting odds, because I think that will shape how our world views it. Because if we get a situation where this happens, and in terms of our bubble on Twitter, but you can't bet on it, you can't play DraftKings, I think that it will go silently into the night. But if there's a situation where you can bet on this, people will bet on this.
For sure. No, for sure. No, you're right. You're right. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the industry, because I really don't know. This is very much uncharted territory.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably if I had to make a guess, if I had to make a prediction, the narrative coming out of it will be about Phil, right? I think Phil will suck up most of the oxygen. If Phil is in the field, right, I think I will be very interested, and I think it will be fun to talk about Phil. I don't know. That's the other thing. Is there going to be media members there? Is Phil going to have to answer questions to media there? I would almost rather watch Phil's press conference than I would his round one. I'm serious.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I also think that the first one, as with most things, I think is going to be more covered than whatever events 2, 3. Like, as long as like in between events 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, some other big name isn't like, hey, I'm going. I think it will generally, if it's the names that we think, by like the 4th or 5th one of these, I think everybody's going to be like, oh, it's the same guys playing again at a different golf course.
Like, if you're the head of CBS, do you send your boy Porter to Canada or London for that week?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Canada's got a good field.
Got a great field. I got credentialed so the LPGA match play is in Vegas at Shadow Creek. So I got credentialed, and I think I'm just going to go out there Saturday and Sunday and just walk Shadow Creek. Obviously, like, I'm excited to watch the ladies in match play. I love match play, but like, any chance you can give me to step foot at Shadow Creek, I'm not missing out on that.
Oh, 100%. You got to do it. When is that? Is that next week?
It's going on right now.
Oh boy. Oh,
so
dude, I'm excited.
I'll go out there for Saturday and Sundays, like the final rounds of that. They do it the same way as the men do. So I'll probably be out there definitely Sunday, maybe Saturday and Sunday.
I hope we get more of that course. I really enjoyed when they had the CJ Cup there. I think it'd be a really good like President's Cup venue.
There's a lot of good risk reward. So like match play's great there. Or like something like a President's Cup or like a format like that would be really, really sharp.
You're going to have to report on this to me when you get back. But I think if I remember correctly, the CJ Cup that they had there happened during COVID. And I've heard some rumblings before about the lack of ability to hold fans. I think it's a very contained golf course, right? With maybe some logistical challenges in terms of parking and stuff like that. So maybe that would explain it, but you'd probably have a better beat on that than I would.
I will. I'll keep an eye out when I get out there for where we could put the stands. I mean, that was the way Summit Club was too. Summit Club there was one grandstand at Summit Club, and it was this tiny little grandstand behind the 18th green, and that was it. There was not a single spot to sit or really stand outside of that.
Right. And what's Summerlin like? Summerlin probably has the most room, I would imagine. They're the most used to stuff like that.
Ton of room. It's very much, you can get a lot of people in there, and parking's not bad, and they shuttle and they valet and they do a good job.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Much appreciated. We'll be back on Tuesday. As always, we'll see how the rest of this Charles Schwab Challenge breaks down. And then we're on a run of Memorial and Canada and the U.S. Open. It's going to be a fun little stretch of golf. Producer Mina does all the hard work on the 1s and 2s. Andy Lack can be found on Twitter at ADP Lack Sports. You can find me at RickRunGood. This has been your Friday Scramble. Catch you next time.